Sharilyn, what are we talking about today?
Hey Tabatha. Today we're talking about our goals for 2025 for our channel, for our reading, and just for ourselves.
Nice. Sounds like a good time. Let's get into it.
Cheers, besties. First, we have our number of books reading goal that we each have for 2025.
Excellent.
My goal cracks me up because originally my goal was just gonna be like a chill 50, and then this one was like, my goal for you is 100 books. And at first I said challenge understood, but now it's challenge accepted, and my goal is 100 books for 2025.
Yes, I saw that on Fable the other day, and I was so excited. I love that you committed.
I did. I committed to the bit. I think it'll be doable. Yeah, I didn't give myself enough credit because I hit 50 last year, and I actually did that a lot easier then. Like, I wasn't trying as hard last year as I'm trying now.
And you mostly started getting like heavy into reading towards the end of the year, and you've already ramped up. Like you felt like your last month was slow and you read like 7 books.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, what's your reading goal?
My reading goal is going to be the same as last year, even though I've continuously read more and more each year. So like I used to read like a normal human amount of like 12 books a year, and then I ramped up immediately as soon as I started tracking. I went to 100 books.
Nice.
So I did that, and then the next year I went up to 200, and I read like 220. In 2024, I read 260 books, 260-ish books. I'm not going to increase my reading goal though. I'm going to keep it at 200.
300, let's go.
No, because I want to focus on quality over quantity.
That's fair.
So like while I have it set to 200, if I read less because I'm reading better books, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, if I read, I don't think I'll read less than 100 because that's like 10 books a month.
Oh yeah.
And even on my slowest month, I read like 12 books.
Yeah.
So
She's crazy.
so I don't think I'll read less than 100. So I like technically I could put my goal at 100, but I do think with audiobooks and reading like quick thrillers and things like that.
Books.
Yeah, I devour those ones especially, and then having some like chunkier books to make up that difference.
Chunky.
Yes. We love our
boys.
We love our thick boys.
I mean those too.
But yeah, so I think with that balance, so instead of going to 260, I think I am going to scale it back and just increase that quality of books.
All right, that sounds lovely. So speaking of quality,
yes,
another one of our goals for this year, reading wise, is hitting those quality books. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, so this last year, I think both of us were a little unhappy with some of the way that our year turned out as far as books go, just because we read the things that were like the most popular, or they were just the most trending.
Hyped. Yeah, very trending.
And so we want to focus more on that quality. So like I read a lot that were trending. I got on the hype and I hopped into the hype, and the hype was not always for me. And so I want to focus on those best of books. Like I haven't read any Joe Abercrombie, and like I need to. I haven't read Game of Thrones, and I need to. And those are like very popular still.
Yeah.
But they're also like high quality books. So I want to really focus on that quality.
Yeah. And then for me, yes, focusing on quality, but also because, again, read a lot of mid books last year. For me, last year was a lot of just delving into...
exploring.
And it was very exploratory for me. So I am continuing to explore this year because the amount of books that we have each read is vastly different. You've done the exploring. You are ready to settle into what you expect to love.
Yes.
Whereas I'm still exploring. It's good to have that foundation, I think, in any genre across the board. It's good to have that foundation. So I'm still exploring those, but I know that not every book is going to be for me, but I still want to read them to appreciate them.
And to see if they're for you.
And to see if they're for me. So my goal when it comes to reading and exploring is just to have low expectations so that I'm not going in expecting one thing and then being disappointed. It makes me sad to be disappointed by a book because someone was very intentional about making that book. Like that is their baby, and I don't want to be disappointed by their child. I don't want to say that to a parent. No, I want to appreciate the hard work that goes into writing a book, and I want to understand as best I can why people love it. And so I want to go in with very minimal expectations kind of across the board. There are still going to be books that I'm hyped for and excited for and expect great things from. But in general, when it comes to those books I'm exploring, I want to have just a very low base level expectation so that I can either be pleasantly surprised or just over the moon, like whatever it's going to be. Like I want to have the opportunity to have a positive reaction to it.
Yeah.
Rather than be disappointed because then I'm just sad.
I think that's a really good mindset to go into it too, because I almost never regret reading a book, because it either tells you like something about the people who love that book, or there can be just different things. Like it may not vibe for you, and like you've mentioned this before too, like when we talk about books that we don't like, who would like this book?
Yes.
So I think that's really great, the emphasis on positive outlook.
Yes. Yep. Something just reminded me that like sometimes you'll read a book and it won't be right for you then, but then you come back to it later and it's right.
Yes.
Or it's right for you when you read it, but if you were to go back to it in a different like phase of your reading journey, you wouldn't appreciate it the same. So also recognizing like even if right now me doesn't love this book, there is a potential that a different version of me along my journey would have appreciated it. Yeah, I want to give each book I read like a fair chance.
I think a good thing with that too is softing and effing. So like if you don't love a book right now, softing and effing where it's like, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
We're not done yet. But future me might appreciate you more than current me does.
Yes.
So that could help too.
I think that's a really good goal. I think that is another goal both of us have, is being more willing to DNF books, whether it's a soft DNF or a hard DNF, so that you have the best experience with the book. Because if you're going into it thinking I'm not gonna like this, it's just all around kind of negative experience.
Yeah.
But if you start something and you're like, there's a possibility I could like this, just not right now, being willing to just say, not right now, close the book, put it up, find something that I know I'm gonna appreciate right now. Just being more intentional about the reading journey.
I think also if it's a book you've moved past already. So like I have a lot of books that I know when I pick these up, I'm most likely not gonna like. So I am going to read probably like the first 50 pages and decide if it's going to be for me or not, and then get rid of them. Like intentional unhauling right there, because a lot of these books I bought when I was at a different phase in my life. And so I think that's a good case for hard DNF.
Yeah.
If it's just something you never see yourself going back to.
Yeah, that's fair. And then on that note, we're getting into like all of our personal reading goals before anything else. It's just where we are. But on that note, the intentional TBRs, intentional reading.
Buzzword for us in 2025 is intentionality.
Very, very much so. Like that is our word for the year. Like you can't see my hands up here.
Word of the year.
For the year.
Intentionality.
Yes, just being intentional about the books we're reading, the books we're committing to read. I mean, our TBRs change even after we make them. Like the next day, there's something new that we want to change, or maybe we're not feeling it the same as we were yesterday. So it's constantly changing anyway, but still being as intentional as we can when we build our TBRs and when we decide what we're going to read.
And leaving room in the TBR for that exploration.
Yes.
Because having your entire capacity for books in a month all planned out doesn't work for either of us.
Yeah.
So having that, like, we already have a really fun TBR game that we have planned for this year.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. But we're keeping the book counts low for that so that we can also incorporate all of our mood reads, finishing series, which has been a little bit of a challenge lately.
Yeah.
We've started a lot of series that we're not finishing, so leaving room in our TBRs to have that exploration and getting to find books that we love as well.
Yeah, and especially as mood readers, just leaving room for when, like, we went book shopping today and there's a book. I know nothing about this book, but we both picked it up and it looks fun, and I am now wanting to add it to my TBR in the middle of the month. It's not the middle of the month. It's the beginning of the month.
It's literally the 4th.
It's literally today's January 4th for us. Anyway, it just feels like so long since we made our TBR. Now, there's this book that I didn't even know existed when we made our TBRs, and now I want to read it. So having that room, giving ourselves that space.
Which I don't think you did make room in your January TBR, but you will find room.
I will find room. I've looked at my January TBR already, and I'm like, there's a chance this book doesn't happen. That one might be later. That might roll into February. It's whatever.
Life's too short to read books you don't want to read right now.
Exactly.
Because if you don't read them, like you were saying, at the right time, it can end up...
Yeah, because like there were multiple books that I didn't read in 2024 when I was ready to read them, because I was so committed to like finishing whatever I had already committed to. So like whatever was already on my TBR or whatever I already had planned, like I was committed. I felt the need to finish those before I moved on to this thing that I was excited for. And then by the time I finally was ready to read that thing, I wasn't excited for it anymore, and I didn't feel like reading it, and then I didn't read it.
Which I think there's a balance to that too, because if you say you're going to do all of these things, you do want to do them. So we want to just say less of what we're going to do and surprise you guys.
Yeah. Stop committing so much. Lower the commitment.
Yes. We will give you low expectations and then hopefully exceed those.
Yes, that's the goal. Low expectations, very intentional.
High execution.
High execution. So something that past readathons have done for us is get us to really stretch our boundaries reading and check out, new genres, new tropes, new whatever. They've really gotten us to explore our reading across the board. So one of our goals for this year is to read more, fill in the blank. We have lots of different categories that we want to intentionally read more of. So one of mine, I would like to read more mysteries. I used to read so many murder mysteries and thrillers. That was really what got me reading a few years ago. That's really where my reading journey began in my adulthood. So I, this past year, explored a lot of romantasy and super fun, continuing to do that this year with series that I mentioned before. But at the same time, I want to go back to, really it's my comfort genre that I haven't been reading in a while. So I want to go back to reading more of those mysteries that spark my imagination and get me intrigued. And I read one a couple days ago. It was a short one, and I just read it. I devoured it in a day, and it just felt so good to read again. I was like, oh, I missed this mystery, the suspense, the thrill. I really missed those aspects, and so I want to go back to reading more mysteries intentionally this year.
And there's some genre blends. There are fantasy mysteries that you have barely scratched the surface in. Have you read any fantasy mysteries yet?
I don't think so. The closest I can think of was Ninth House.
Okay.
I don't know if that counts as a mystery.
Yeah, I could see that.
But
not as much, but Tainted Cup is a really good one. Lavender House is supposed to be a really good one. We're both going to be reading that soon.
I thought it was holding it upside down for a second. It was not.
And then we talked about Veronica Speedwell earlier.
Yes.
That could be a potential one. Everyone on BookTube has been raving about that one.
Yes, I love a good mystery, and I really am enjoying fantasy overall. Yes. So to get more into fantasy mysteries would be so much fun. And then also into more fantasy in general. Instead
of just romantic fantasy or fantasy romance, which is what you've explored a lot of, you want to get more into just regular
fantasy.
The core of fantasy.
The core of fantasy. Yeah, so I have...
Explore other subgenres within fantasy too.
Yes.
Like fantasy mysteries.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited for those. But yeah, so one author in particular who I'm so excited to get started reading this year is Brandon Sanderson. One of Tabatha's favorites. I think from the day we met, which was almost 2 years ago, Tabatha has been raving about Brandon Sanderson to me, and I still haven't read any of him.
But you got your first one today.
I did actually get my first one today. The bookstore that we went to is a local shop, and she had a shelf of damaged or art copies that she was giving away with purchase above a certain dollar amount, and so I got a Brandon Sanderson from that shelf. So I have my first Brandon Sanderson, but it's deep in the Cosmere. It's a standalone, but it's deep in the Cosmere, so I can't even read it yet. But I have my first Brandon Sanderson, and I'm so excited to get started on his work this year, because she has nothing but good things to say about him.
I do.
And again, I haven't read just fantasy. It's been YA or new adult fantasy romance. Yeah, just getting more into the core fantasy. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. So excited.
Yes. And then speaking of fantasy mysteries that you had mentioned, we have ARC for a fantasy mystery, and we're trying to read more ARCs. So we don't have a huge backlist yet, thankfully, but we want to keep on top of it, keep on top of our NetGalley score, keep it at 80%. And so we're each planning on reading an ARC a month if we have a backlog. So reading more of those, reading more indie books. I want to read more 5-star predictions. Like I said, I had kind of a mid-year last year, so I want to read books that I know I'm going to love. I want to read Patrick Rothfuss. I want to read Joe Abercrombie. I want to read George R.R. Martin. I want to read more of Brandon Sanderson because I haven't finished his backlog. There's just so many books that I know are going to be 5 stars that I was telling you earlier. I keep putting those off because they can only be read for the first time one time. And that's such a bad attitude to have.
You have so many, though, that are going to be good.
Yes.
So you need to start on them now because it's a long list.
I do. I have quite a long list. And speaking of lists, I want to go through and read more of the Reddit favorites, the booktuber favorites.
Yes.
I want to read more of those favorites, those books that are the shining stars, not just the books that are the current most trending ones, but I want to read those shining stars Percy Jackson is a shining star in middle grade. I want to read that. So
actually, on that note, my husband loves Percy Jackson and read whatever I know there are lots of series in Percy Jackson, but the initial series, we just got the box set. And so he wants to read those this year.
Buddy read!
Buddy read!
The last goal I want to cover as far as like books go is I want to work through my physical TBR. I have so many 5-star predictions, all of those things that I want to read on my physical TBR. So I want to really work through that. I just looked, I'm at 30% of my books I own, I have read. So I want to get that up to probably about 50% by the end of the year. I think that could be realistic for me. So
even as you add books to it.
I do want to intentionally buy some books, okay? I want to make sure that I'm buying books that are... I will buy special editions. I cannot have self-control. Those are limited time. If they go, they go. And then once they go, they only sell for like hundreds of dollars. So like I'm going to get those immediately. But I do want to intentionally buy the standard editions. I'm not going to buy a standard edition unless I plan to read it within the next few months. So that's a good way to help me keep that TBR to hopefully being about half. So.
Good luck.
I'm gonna need it.
If you have 1,000 books, 20% is 200.
But the thing is, some of them are like Sword of Kaigen. I have 3 copies of that. If I read true. Sword of Kaigen, I'm not reading all 3 copies.
That's true.
I'm reading 1 copy of Sword of Kaigen, and then it checks off for 3 books.
Okay.
I know, that's why I need
to work the system.
Work that system. What I need to do is what I really need to do is I also need to like buy some of those series. So I need to buy all of the Zodiac Academy books. Those books I've already read. I need them on my shelves. I need to own them because I'm going to reread them at some point. And so having those is another little boost.
Buying them doesn't really hurt. It actually helps because you've already read them.
Heartless Hunter I just bought because I'm going to do a reread. And I've already read that, so that doesn't count as like an added book to my TBR.
That's true.
I am still going to read it.
On that note, I think we can get into our channel goals. So, channel goals. One of the first things that we are thinking of when it comes to channel goals, one of the like base goal, whatever.
The most important goal.
The most important goal is really our number of videos a week, and tied to that is quality level that we put into each of those videos.
And I would say quality over quantity.
Absolutely. So, our goal for videos per week is 2 videos per week. But with that is we want the best quality. We don't want to put something out there that we just feel kind of mid about. If we are making a video and we're not feeling good about it, we don't want to push ourselves to finish. If you're already feeling crappy about it, like the end product isn't gonna be the best thing that you had hoped for. So we want to be intentional about the quality of our content, making sure our energy in the video is what we want it to be. What we talk about, what we cover is
the focus.
The focus of the video is what we want it to be. The focus of the camera lens is what we want it to be.
There may or may not have been a video scrapped because the entire video was out of focus.
And neither of us wanted to put that up. So we're like, you know what? Let's settle. We will go with one video that week. And we will just take that other video. It didn't happen. It's fine. We would rather put out content that we both feel good about, we feel proud of, because then that's the stuff we want to look back on. And also, our excitement for a video, or lack thereof, comes through. And if we're not feeling a video, then y'all wouldn't feel it either watching it. And so then that's just kind of lame for everyone.
Exactly. And then we want to focus on increasing the quality. So like our vlogs or something, we're steadily increasing. We've very much increased the quality of these sit-down videos. And then like there's always going to be room to grow, editing, all of those things. There's so many different pieces to YouTube that we're working on. Growing. So we're the little flowers growing out of the ground. One of the things with learning and improving and everything is kind of just also to the note of exploring. It's just exploring different video types. So one video type that I really want us to get into in 2025, it's going to be like challenges. So like just various different kind of challenges. There's like the 24-hour reading challenges, read so-and-so's books for a week challenges, Siri chooses your reading for a week challenges, like all those kind of different reading challenges I think would be really fun to explore in 2025. So that's another video type, and just all sorts of different video types that we can think of. Being creative with it and emphasizing that quality and creativity. I think it's going to be fun.
Yes, and we're definitely continually inspired by the booktube community and love community involvement. So on that note, we really want to enjoy more readathons in 2025. Tabatha already has a couple in mind coming up soon this spring, but having that community involvement, just seeing more of what's everyone doing, and just community. Like, that is kind of one of the biggest things. That's why we're here, is to share reading experiences together. So to just continue to have more of that in 2025 is a big goal of ours.
So yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
And then maybe one day, definitely one day, hosting our own readathon. We'll see.
Not in 2025.
Not in 2025. That's not a 2025 goal. That's a one day in the future goal.
That's like a 2026 goal.
Yeah. Stay very tuned in the future.
Later.
Yeah, stay later tuned.
There's a lot of work that goes that's involved in those, and we very much appreciate all the work that we've done a couple of readathons now, and we really appreciate all the work that goes into those. So we want to do our part, stay a part of the community, stay active in it. I love the social tabs where you can find new creators in those and explore everybody's different content, all of that. Seeing all the co-host videos, all of that is so fun. What are some of our personal goals?
What are some of our personal goals? I think in general, personally, my goals for 2025 are just being more physically healthy overall, being more active, walking more throughout the day, getting moving. I used to do yoga. I've done lots of different types of activity through my life, but yoga is one that I really, really enjoy, and that's something that I can do from home without thinking too hard about it.
You're so happy and blissful when you're in your yoga phases.
My yoga phases are phase plural. That is the best time of my life. I'm very in tune with myself, and I think that is kind of the core goal for my physical health for 2025, is just being in tune with my body again, because the more stuff I pile on my plate and the more I'm got going on, like, I get mentally frazzled more and more easily. So to have those moments of centering myself, peaceful meditation with movement, or just sitting quietly, because life is so chaotic also. There's work and there's life and there's all the things. Just being more intentional about physical health, the mental health, and just focusing on what are those honestly small changes that I can make each day that add up over time to make a meaningful big difference. How about for you? What are some of your personal goals for 25?
Along the same lines, I definitely want to be more active. My Oura ring gets annoyed at me sometimes for the level of activity that I have. And so I don't like making people annoyed, even if they are fictional rings. So I want to make my Oura ring happy this year by getting more sleep. It's been mad at me for my sleep, which I'm sure you're super shocked about that. And then physical activity. I don't want to get like too crazy with it either. I am very much an all or nothing person a lot of times. So I'll be like, I'm going to do the 75 hard challenge with 45-minute workout inside, 45-minute workout outside, and then it's good for like 10 days, 20 days even, and then it fizzles out, and then it's very all or nothing. So I want, like you said, those little things. I want those little steps.
Those sustainable changes.
Sustainability is going to be something very important for me with that.
Intentionality, sustainability, high quality.
High quality. And then also, speaking of intentionality, my relationship is a big pillar in my life. So I want to like intentionally do something nice for my husband every day.
Oh yeah.
Just like, and it doesn't have to be crazy. It can be like bring him a cup of coffee, or just say something nice to him, or you know, whatever. Just some kind of meaningful thing, because like he's important to me. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny you're saying that, because I'm like, okay, today you did bring him coffee and lunch.
Yeah.
So check. But I'm also imagining, like, I think you and Scott are similar to me and Jose in that, like, the nice thing you might say is actually, like, heckling.
Yes, it is actually.
So I'm over here, like, just imagining, I want to say a nice thing to my husband, and you're like, get over here, you dumb bitch, and it's like, I love you.
I mean, do that a lot, actually.
Yeah, so much. I'm just chuckling to myself at that.
Yeah, no, I mean, Scott's the same way with that, too, where, like, he can be nice, but there has to be like a little bit of trickster energy to it too. So he'll be like, here's your coffee, fucker. Something like that. I love it.
Or the number of times I call you bitch. It's like, we love each other though. It is a term of endearment.
It is.
In these relationships.
And then other intentionalities, drinking more water. We both have that as a strong goal. Cheers! We'll just cheers every time. Mm-hmm. And then doing something for YouTube every day, whether it's editing the video or watching other people's content, getting involved in the community, planning future content, working on thumbnails, whatever it is, do something, at least something small for YouTube every day to keep it nice and fresh and exciting. Yes. So that's our goal.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yay, we did it. Okay, cool. We can check off 2025 now.
Yes.
That was enough.
We've moved on to 2026 now. What are your 2026 goals?
You know, I think we want to host at least 2 readathons.
Oh, God. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let us know in the comments below what your goals are. And if you aren't feeling chatty, leave us a check mark for checking off those goals.
Yeah, we did it. Yes. We will do it.
We'll do it. We promise.
I guess. Now that we've said it.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye, besties.